Hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another StarCraft 2 broadcast. I am Anaris, bringing you more coverage of the Intel Extreme Masters tournament currently taking place in China. Today, we're going to be starting a best-of-3 series between TSL JYP, the red Protoss up in the 12 o'clock position, against EG Puma, the blue Terran, down in the 3 o'clock, here today on the Shattered Temple. Now, so far we've had a lot of interesting games. Like I said, I have a best-of series from Idra that is actually a Zerg versus Zerg. I'm very much looking forward to bringing that to you. Number one, well, I'll say, I generally tend to stay away from Zerg versus Zerg. Most of the time, the casts end up being 5 to 10 minutes of back and forth Zerglings with one person misclicking, and there's the end. Well, that's it. It can be interesting to watch, but it doesn't make for a lot of entertainment value, those little short games. So I went into that, and I didn't watch them, but I did see how long they were, and I was thinking, okay, well, number one, we generally don't see a lot of ZVZ from Idra, which I think, considering how much he talks about Terran and Protoss, I feel like a Zerg versus Zerg would be an interesting match to watch from him. Number two, all of the games we've seen from him, again, Terran and Protoss, involve him macroing up until about the 10-minute mark and then just exploding. Well, how does he play in the first 10 minutes if he's fighting against another Zerg, which is going to just inherently have a lot of pressure from the start? Well, I think that'd be a great match to watch, so I figured I'll make an exception for the rule. We'll take some time and watch that best of series. I think it's a best of 5, actually. So we'll be sure to watch that and others. Now let's take a look at this game here. JYP up here at the top, spawning close by air positions against Puma. I feel like with Puma, we're pretty much guaranteed to have some sort of 1-1-1 variant today. Again, it's such a powerful build currently in TVP, and the Protoss is likely going to be looking to expect that once he scouts it out. And I'm thinking we're going to see a 1-gate expand from him because, again, that's kind of where things are going right now with how to counter that. Basically, you just build up your expansion, you get that going, and you try to get some gateways or robo immortals. Some people advocate Colossi. I will leave that to people who are much more educated in the ways of the highest level of theory crafting. But a lot of people just go for Immortal, especially with the range buff. Now, one of the things that Blizzard stated was that the increase of the range from 5 to 6 in the Immortal was specifically to help deal with the 1-1-1 style of play. Which, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's essentially a one-base build that the Terran can do that hits between the 8 and 11-minute mark that involves a lot of times actually, bringing the majority of their SCVs in addition to a very strong group of Marines, as well as a couple siege tanks, and either a Banshee or Raven, sometimes both, sometimes neither. Just kind of depends on who's playing. You'll see all kinds of variants of this at all levels of play. But the whole purpose is essentially the same: to hit between that time that I mentioned and basically just overwhelm the Protoss. So that's pretty much what I think we're going to be seeing here. And again, watching the builds, we see, okay, he's opened up with double gas. He went straight for that factory. If you also pay attention, this is one of the things you can notice as a Protoss player. Are they going to be walling off like this? If it is, throwing down a bunker in the later part especially, then you're going to be knowing there's going to be a kind of one-base play here, and you could just pretty much count on that type of pressure. So, let's take a look at what JYP is doing to counter this. Ooh, nice. Look, actually, before I talk about this, let's look at the cloaking technology upgrade that is currently being researched by Puma. I feel like this is going to push ahead a little bit the time that the attack is going to be coming, but it's also going to be taking advantage of the fact that they are spawning close by air. So Puma may decide to use this in conjunction with that pressure at the natural or the main ramp for the bulk of the attack. So sneaky, I like that a lot. I've also got that reactor going down over here. Yeah, it looks like it is on the barracks. So again, just kind of leaning towards that style of play here. Let's talk about JYP. I keep getting sidetracked. We do have the 1 gate, the 2 additional ones up there, which need to be turned into warp gates. Just a second. There we go. The robotics facility. So everything is gearing up to be in a comfortable position for him. As a Protoss player, I'm just going to say right now, I'm a little worried, and I apologize if I approach the rest of the game kind of from that perspective. I'm going to try my best not to, but again, it's a pretty difficult strategy to deal with, and I'm going to be looking to see how Puma adapts. You see already, I do like the Banshee harassment a lot. 2 kills on that so far, was able to get away, 22 hit points left, cloaking down here at the natural now. So we do have an observer on the way. Again, this Banshee definitely paying for itself. 5 kills so far and denying the income from the natural. This is a fantastic delay tactic by Puma. Puma knows that JYP's really only hope is to get some income from this natural expansion and basically just use that and be ready for what he has coming, which we can see again, 2 additional barracks going down. This is all just kind of coming into fruition pretty much as expected. That Raven as well. So Puma, again, takes advantage of that terrain, goes ahead, delays his push a little bit in favor of this cloaking technology, which buys him a substantial amount of time himself. I feel like that he came out ahead on that ever so slightly. Let's just look at the actual resources lost. 400 for the Protoss player there, but notice what JYP is doing here. He's actually dropping down a proxy pylon, which I think is a very smart move, I feel. Now, Puma is running around down here in the back because a lot of Protoss players now are starting to incorporate warp prisms into their play, and as the Banshee was able to quickly gain access to the mineral line back here, so too can JYP have that fast access, especially with that warp prism there. But look at what's coming out now. Puma spots that observer and is going to be moving to take that out. There goes 75 gas that JYP very much needs at this point. Where Puma moving out, you see he's got siege tech about 60% complete. We can probably expect to see him move out and really press forward closer to when that's researched, but I'm sure he'll be moving across the map here at some point in the near future. Anyways, JYP, on the other hand, let's talk about this pylon for just a second. This is actually another very smart thing that he's done. He has gone ahead and placed that before the forces have moved out for Puma, you see, who also now include that SCV, so that way he can put pressure on the main base while he is contained, because he's not comfortable with how his economy is currently looking. We could just look at the income right now and see 30 to 26, as he did do the smart thing, trying to use those stalkers running across the map and delay the attack as long as possible. Will Puma be able to break this, man? I'm not too sure. It's hard to say. Uh-oh, siege tank is exposed right there, leaving the force field's position. Oh, very nice. We are going to see one tank go down there, possibly both. Fantastic play by JYP as he does delay that attack. Really, the biggest thing about that is he used the Marines to contain and defend those siege tanks, but they're not that great by themselves. Puma actually losing a lot of SCVs trying to charge up the ramp like that with most of the forces sitting out of range of the Marines, just a few firing in the front. And now Puma is left to kind of consider where he is at this point. Well, you see, just looking at the income right now, 28 to 16. So he does not have a lot in the way of mineral income, obviously gas as well. Protoss sitting here with some Banshee harassment, again, continuing. This one just got a couple kills, but this is what I'm talking about. This is fantastic play by Puma. He knows that he's not going to be able to bust up here, so what he's doing is he's using that Banshee to harass the economy and keep the Protoss player down in his main base, or up in his main base, rather, while he assaults the natural, which is the other crucial part of the recipe for JYP to hold off this assault. Again, this is just becoming increasingly difficult as Puma is methodically cutting apart JYP's plan. So here comes a couple zealots for JYP. He's going to be running up and basically hoping to get into the base, which obviously not going to happen. Quick raising of the depot there. He might be able to bust up that supply, or that depot. No, man, he's at least got to bust that up and make this not a total loss here. I was going to say, if he could knock out that depot, maybe knock out an SCV or two, at least those 2 units would have paid for themselves. But still, the nice thing about this is that JYP is buying precious moments to basically build up his own forces. Look at the army right now. You can just see 1950 to 2350, so a lot of that is Marines, yes. But still, you look at what JYP has. Nothing he has is particularly effective against the Marine siege tank force that currently has him contained. Especially considering the fact that there is a Raven here that'll be able to drop that PDD at a moment's notice and shut down all of these stalkers. So you see, he's again keeping these forces around midfield here in his base, anticipating more Banshee harassment. JYP's pylon is discovered. Again, Puma kind of realizing, okay, something's going on here. Oh, 2 zealots canceled as well at the very last second. I'll tell you, if those 2 zealots had actually warped in, this the next few seconds would have played out very differently. I think you would see a lot fewer Marines here from Puma, and might have actually lost that entire force with that Stalker harassment. But that's not the case. What is going on now is Puma is possibly moving out here again. I'm not too sure. No, it looks like he's just readjusting a tiny bit as his forces continue to have JYP contained. We actually have JYP going for a Stargate. Now, this is going to open up another avenue of attack for him, although it's going to be a little bit risky. This poor Banshee, oh no, getting taken out right there. JYP, very smart decision bringing that Observer back when he did. Spotting, I think he actually spotted that Banshee coming down here. But anyways, oh, what was I talking about? Oh, so basically, the gas going into the Stargate, the money going into it as well, is going to directly come out of, oh no, that is a huge loss there for JYP. He needs every single unit, cannot afford to lose those five zealots, and now his midfield force is cut in half. Combined with the fact that he's trying to tech here with this Stargate means that his forces are going to be severely diminished. He's also got a Phoenix on the way. I'm really curious to see how he's going to use that effectively. Maybe lift up a siege tank or two. But again, the biggest problem for JYP right now are these darned Marines, man. Let me just tell you, these things are fantastic at blowing up everything in the current Protoss arsenal that we see before us here today. The most important unit right here, aside from the Immortal to counter the siege tanks, are going to be the Sentries. You see they have a decent bit of energy saved up. JYP has to have a perfect split there. Now look at this, man. We do have that Phoenix looking to counter the Banshee. However, you see, it's just now finally able to take that out. 2 Phoenix here in the field. Will he be able to use these to lift up those tanks and deal with these Marines? I don't know, man. We see this Raven. Yes, he only has 60 hit points left, but oh, some force fields going down. Not nearly enough of all the Zealots are just getting mowed down. Again, so many Marines. Puma representing Team Evil Geniuses in a big way, coming in here and just annihilating the Protoss, wrapping up what I feel will be this match here today on Shattered Temple, as there's really nothing JYP can do. Yep, there's the GG, concluding game number 1, so let's go on to game number 2 and see what happens next. Again, that was a great performance by both players. Puma, just very smart, multitasking, hitting in the backside, while also trying to penetrate the natural expansion, and had some great success with it. So let's go on and see what happens next.